Good afternoon, everyone. I am C.R. Hall with the State Department of Education. I'm with my colleague and partner in crime, Leslie Lewis, who's also with us in the Office of Federal and State Accountability. It's probably dangerous that she and I are together, usually when we start things. Usually they don't work out well after we started. I don't know, we cause a little trouble here and there and yonder, but
We keep things interesting and fun.
yeah, somebody's got to do it, right? Well, today we're going to be talking about moving past Title I compliance, strategies to engage families. I'm going to talk about the ESSA side of things. So formerly I was on the Consolidated Oversight and Monitoring team. I've now moved over to the Innovation and Support team. So I can speak about what we were monitoring you on, which is kind of what this is about. Leslie's going to come in on the other side with the strategies to help family engagement. I used to be a principal, so I can tell you some things I've tried and things and stories that we've done to engage our families. So we're going to have a little conversation is how this is going to roll. So again, we're going to talk about what this says, and then we're going to, each one of those, we're going to break it apart, and then we're going to push past and get past the compliance piece of what you can do to engage those families. The first thing I want you to think about is the school district itself. So I've said this once, twice. You're going to hear me say it the rest of ESSA. The school district is the umbrella. Everything falls under the umbrella. Your title plans, your proficiency-based plans, any waivers, the schools, all of that fits under the umbrella and supports the district mission. It doesn't operate without it in silos all by itself. It supports the district strategic school renewal plan, also the DSSR. So you have to kind of change your thinking. We're no longer talking about silos. We are talking about the full function of the district and how we move it forward. The first thing ESSA says is to involve your parents in an organized, ongoing, and timely way in the planning, review, and improvement of programs under this part to include the school parent and family engagement policy and joint development of the school-wide program plan. So the way we looked for this when I was on the COM team was evidence of the plan review process with families and parents playing an active participant role. So we're looking to see that parents have come in and had some sort of role with this. South Carolina law says, and this is, you can go look it up, that the local board of trustees will establish a school improvement council within each school. Your council must include at least 2 parents, 2 teachers, and if you're in the high school, 2 students. It shall assist in the preparation of the strategic renewal plan, and it shall provide advice on the use of grant funds. Your titles are your grant funds. So to connect those dots, if the Title I plan is developed in collaboration with parents, the strategic renewal plan is developed in collaboration with parents, and the school improvement council must provide guidance on how to use those funds and approve the strategic renewal plan, then why can't this all be the same group? And the answer is, it can. So let's push past compliance. I will admit it, nobody told me any different. I had 2 committees, and I thought, why in the world am I staying twice late night a month to do the same thing? This group over here telling me how to write it. This group over here telling me how to improve it. Why? As a matter of fact, it's the same parents, because they're the ones that show up all the time. So why am I doing 2 meetings when I can be doing 1? So parents appreciate the efficiency. Actively recruit your parents. Parents are honored that you ask them personally. So a short story, I'm going to talk about Grandma Ben. Grandma Ben was the grandma of the neighborhood. That neighborhood didn't happen unless Grandma Ben said so. I asked Grandma Ben to come in and be on our cognitive team because the district said, representation of your district. Like, all right, I'm going to give them Grandma Ben. All I can tell you, when she walked in, she looked like Aunt Esther from Sanford and Son. She had on the purple dress, she had on a hat, she had on the gloves, she had on a purse, the high heel shoes, even the hose with the line down the back. And she walked in and she goes, you ain't going to have no problem with them. I'm going to tell them how it's going to be. I was like, ooh. And so they were late getting out of that meeting. And the crew comes out, and I said, how'd it go? And they said, yeah, we met Grandma Ben. She's quite a character. She told us how it was going to be. And I said, future advice. You follow what Grandma Ben says. So the point of that is she was so honored that I asked her. She wouldn't have thought of any other thing to do. She was always at our meetings. She was always at events, always supporting her grandkids. But she was honored that I asked her personally to be part of that event. Document the meeting agenda, minutes, sign-in sheets to include both the School Improvement Council and the Title I meeting. As a former monitor, we are looking for two things: what's on the heading and what's in those minutes. So document, document, document. The more details you can give us, the closer we are to checking you off on that monitoring tool.
Yeah, and when we're talking about sign sheets, like a list of names is not good enough for us.
Nope.
Like we need to see that they've signed in. And we need to see a wide variety of people that are on your parent family engagement meetings and everything. So, or your Title I meetings. At least it's okay to push past that two and two. Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes it's a virtual setting, so how does that work?
You take a screenshot of the people.
Yep. Or print out the chat.
Yeah.
That chat works as well.
And like, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So like within Teams and Zoom, you can download the participants and it comes into a spreadsheet. Is that acceptable? Is it even tell what time?
Yeah, with Teams it tells you who's in and who hasn't come in. But yeah, as long as we know who's actually attending that meeting. Yeah. And we're okay with you doing it virtual.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that came out of COVID, right? We know that sometimes a parent is able to attend that from the soccer field instead of coming into the school. So yeah, we're totally pro doing it virtual because that's just another way that you can make sure that you're including parents that have those kids that they're referring everywhere.
And just even on a side note, even your IEP meetings. When my former district kept the virtual meetings, even in an alternative school where your parents are mad at you, still had 100% participation with IEP meetings because we stayed virtual. Now, they would leave their job, go take lunch early, sit in the car, and participate in that meeting. That's fine, but I still had participation even on the bags of that.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to clarify. So it says document the meeting. Does that mean that we can have it all in one documentation? Because I've been doing it separately all the time.
All in one documentation.
But it doesn't have to have the heading SIC and then another heading Title I?
Put it all in one heading. Because what I'm looking for as a former monitor, is I'm looking for evidence that you had that meeting. So I want to see down in the minutes. Did you talk about Title I expenditures? Maybe that's all you talked about that time. Still counts as a meeting because you discussed it. And you should be discussing it because your Title I plan should be feeding your DSSR. You got to fund the plan, not plan the fund. Fund that plan. So it should all be together anyway.
One way that we ensure that we show evidence of that is we put the time. So if they do like a combined meeting, it'll say like SIC started at 5:30 to 6. Title I started at this time. So it shows that we gave equal time to those because in the past it's been like, well, we've gotten questions like, well, when did your Title I meeting start? And so sometimes they forget what you just mentioned, those details, because, it was discussed in SIC, but not as it relates to the school-wide plan with compliance. So
And that also goes back to that document. Did you detail it out enough where somebody could come in and go, well, yeah, they had a meeting. Yes, they did this. Yes, they discussed the Title I plan. They discussed the expenditures, right, where they were as that relates to meeting. But can you show all of that and see that in there? Some we have seen where it's just Title I, we had a meeting. Okay, which I'll discuss.
Yeah.
There's a little more that's being asked. Also, place your plan on your school or district website for comments. That's something else. If you've got folks that can't get in, that can't give you those comments, place it out there for them to respond to on your website. So ESSA says that the LEA provides strategies to increase the involvement of parents. So what we're looking for is meeting minutes and sign-in sheets, real signatures, and survey results where barriers to greater participation is identified. A lot of people forget that survey. That's where they get hung up on the monitoring piece. So to push back compliance.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so when we're looking at our attendance sheet, we need to make sure that we're actually answering some questions. Did I reach the audience I'm trying to reach? Are people actually turning up If not, then next year, I probably need to rethink that whole activity if I decide that I want to do that same family night again. Or for future events, maybe holding it at this certain time on Wednesday nights when there's church as well is not a great look for us. So you need to constantly be reviewing those attendance sheets. Also, we want to survey the parents after each event. You know, what did they get out of it? Did they enjoy the time with their child? Did they leave with a take-home strategy? Because parent events are not just to get parents in the building. Parent events are to get parents actively involved in their child's academic life. So, I mean, I can pull parents in for muffins for mom, and I love a good muffin. But if I'm not doing anything that is tied to academic achievement, then it's technically not a Title I parent event. I should be focused on that academic achievement. I'm giving them some kind of strategy to walk away with. We're doing some kind of partner activity with their child. You know, I know that Lexington 1 does an awesome job of pulling parents in the morning time when they have math mornings, where the parents actually go into the classrooms and participate in math with their child. So we got to make sure that the rubber's hitting the road when we're talking about parent events. And that should be something that your program manager is asking you. I question it. If I'll return your plan and be like, okay, I see muffins for mom, but what are we doing to make this academic? Are the moms just coming in for muffins? Like, what are we paying for? Muffins? So we need to make sure that we're always focusing on giving them some kind of strategy so that we're being continuous from school to home, creating that partnership. So the feedback would be, you know, not only are we collecting feedback from parents, but we're actually reviewing the feedback too. I am like so guilty of getting caught up in an event, and then when you're done with that event, like you've reached your high, and like you start just like there's no downtick. It's like you're done, right? So we need to make sure, and that's what will happen this week when we're done with this. So we need to make sure that we are actually looking at that feedback before we plan the next event, so that we can meet the needs of our parents. Also, of course, we want to combine with other events. Anytime that we can think outside the box to combine events for parents, we have parents that have 2 kids in elementary school, a kid in the middle school, and a kid in the high school. And I know that I saw it as a parent myself. The older the child gets, what happens with parent engagement? It gets less, right? I mean, they're going to show up to the games, but coming in for like a family night or even like FAFSA night, I was like, no, I'm good. So we need to make sure that we're trying to combine some things. So maybe it's that your district or your schools in your area are all holding an event together. Now, the reminder is they have to all receive Title I money for you to pay for it out of Title I. You can pay a portion of it, the portion that would cover the kids in those Title I schools. We also, and you guys know this, it's best practices to have the kids doing something. If the kids are doing something, then they're going to come, you know, they're going to come. If the kids, you know, are doing some kind of performance, then they're going to come. Also, one of the things that I did as a teacher was I had my students, and they were first graders. They actually took charge of their parent and teacher conferences. You know, and I think that's later on in the slides, but, you know, anytime that you can give the child ownership or even pulling parents in as experts on some things. At my last school, we had a family night that was all geared about different cultures, and the parents were the ones that presented all of that. So anytime that we can, you know, actively involve the students or the families, that they've got actually a seat at the table, that helps. And then the last thing that we talked about was and that's like required. So you have to do it at different times. You have to offer certain things at different times. Because not everybody is available at all, you know, from that 6 to 7:30 bread and butter time, right? So it's best practices for you to offer some things in the morning, to offer them like right after school, in the evenings, and then even different locations. So at my last school, we had a very large ML population that all lived in the same neighborhood, and we actually picked up and went to that neighborhood and hosted an ML night for them in that neighborhood. So going to where they're at. One of the things that has also been shared is that for like parent-teacher conferences, there was a town that had a large amount of family members that worked in a factory. That was like the factory, the town was the factory. And they worked it out with that factory to use their break time to have parent-teacher conferences in the break room. So the teachers went there and met with parents on their break time instead of parents having to take off that critical time to meet. It's not that always the parents don't have value in their child's education. It's just that it may not be the top priority for them. It may be that I need to put food on the table. And sometimes we have to rethink the way we think because we may not have had the same situation growing up. So I know you guys in Title I schools see all kinds of different things. But I mean, I've worked in a town that literally the factory was what the town was about. That was the thing in the town. So we just need to kind of meet them where they're at.
And I had a school that the relationship between the school and the families was very tense. Long story on how it got there. Short of it is, somebody brought to me an idea of going and putting a parade route in our neighborhoods. We gave out school supplies. Yes, you can do a parade route for nothing, and your SRO will help you do that. We had the fire trucks, we had SROs from the schools, and we locked up the town. They were mad about traffic patterns, but it was okay. It was all for a good cause because I had cops on both ends. I had the loudspeaker in the middle, and yes, we wobbled and electric slide and a Cupid shuffled in the middle of the street. My teachers passed out cookies. We passed out basic school supplies. It brought a new relationship. Parents were no longer put off with us, a little standoffish, because we came and partied in the street. Hugged them, loved them, all sorts of things. They loved it. Even my local car dealership donated vehicles for the line because he got to put his magnets on the side of those cars, and my teachers were hanging the back out of the backs of them. Corvettes riding through the neighborhood, waving at everybody, honking and hollering. We had a great time. And we weren't the only school. Back to combining those schools, my two feeder elementary, this is middle school, taking my two feeder elementary schools, combining us all together for one long parade through that neighborhood, and it was fantastic. And combining those events, the thing about back to school events here in South Carolina is the thunderstorms at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that was always kind of an iffy thing for us. But having a back to school event where I've got my two feeder elementary schools and my middle school, and it's a one-stop shop for everything, solves a lot of problems, and something we'll talk about in a little bit. But my two feeder elementary schools were also Title I schools, so we combined and we all paid for interpreters. Once my ML population figured out that we had interpreters available, the whole community came. I like one called the other, and everybody showed up. It was quite interesting to see a whole community come in. I was like, man, where are they from? I haven't seen them in a long time. And my interpreters are like, I see my people, I'm gone. You know, it's fantastic. But it was a great time to go and actually go and meet my ML families because the language for me was a barrier. I'm nothing more than hola, como está. That's it. You know, maybe I forgot what professor was now. It's past my time, but being able to meet with those families because I had a translator event, and now I started making connections that I wasn't able to make before. So it's a really neat thing if you can combine all that together. All right, so ESSA says, involve parents in an organized, ongoing, and timely way in the planning, review, and improvement of programs under this part to include school-wide parent and family engagement policy and joint development of the school-wide program plan. So we're looking for evidence of this, a review process with families, parents playing an active role, and evidence of dissemination to the families and communities. That's where we usually get the hang up, is the dissemination piece. So pushing past compliance. Place your plan on your social media website for comment. That is very easy to do. It's very easy to put some sort of Google form for them to reply back on. And Leslie, I liked when you said this, said to me the other day, a survey at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. I didn't think of that survey at the end of the year. what did and didn't work for our families over the course of the year that could change. Those back to school events, like I talked about, partying in the neighborhood really does help bridge that relationship. Disseminate the plan must be in their home language or a mode the parents will see. Home language extends beyond Spanish. As a monitor, I've been to some districts where we didn't even send it out in another language. Guys, y'all can lie to me on Spanish. Everybody around this state speaks Spanish. Now, I know there are more languages. You get to Greenville, and I think they've got like 63. I don't expect to see 63 different copies of the home language survey, but everybody's got Spanish, so you're not having one to turn in to show that you are putting it in another language. I don't buy it. Just don't buy it. You've got to have it. Email blasts, absolutely. Social media, school websites, text messaging, paper copies. Consider sending the information with other important papers, not just in isolation. Consider Bright Arrow. Let me stop right here. Bright Arrow is a plug-in for PowerSchool. You can pay for it with your title fund, above and beyond. It will send out text messages, emails. The emails and text messages are in the language that the parent has put in PowerSchool when they have registered. If they speak Spanish, it goes out in Spanish. Not any of the attachments. It doesn't translate the attachments. Only translate what you type in. It'll allow you to do an email and then shorten it down to a text message. It'll also allow you to send out report cards. Even the alternative school kids send it out at lunchtime. And they stand at lunchtime. Why you tell my mom about biology? It's like, because you're sleeping in biology. You're failing. So now you've got 3 hours to figure out the lie you're going to tell your mama when you get home. But that was a great way of beating kids home with the information, because I sent it at lunchtime, went out to everybody, text message, the parents saw, oh, got a report card I need to go look at. So consider some of these other plugins that go into PowerSchool that do that language translation for you. And how can you avoid putting information in your students' hands? It's one of the frustrations of my sister-in-law. Both of her girls are in, one's in middle school, one's in high school. She says, I get nothing from those schools, but I got tons of information when I was in elementary school. So somehow as the kids get older, we stop giving out that information, or I don't know what we do. But we need to consider getting it out in text messages and emails, and not just, well, I told your kid. How many of you told your 12-year-old something and they forgot it before they turned around and walked out the other room? It doesn't work. So how can you avoid putting it in their hands?
Sure. And just so a little preview of my session tomorrow. So tomorrow my session is all about the new parent and family engagement guidance for Title I. I'm really digging into it with you all. But they have changed some of the language when it comes to this home language expectation. It's as possible. I mean, so it's must is the language. So to every extent possible, it must go home in a written way. Now we understand that it's a lot for me to get something translated, but the other option is, if you can't get it done written, then you have that verbal option. So it's no longer like, hey guys, is this convenient? If you could send it home to them in their home language, it's a must at this point. So, and it's always been a must. They've just really honed in on the fact that we're pushing past just the Spanish part. To all extent that I can make this happen, I need to make it happen for my languages, my own families. So.
All right, so what does that say about this one? The family engagement policy is developed and agreed upon by families and parents and distributed to all families and parents. The policy must describe how the LEA will develop a Title I plan that is reviewed annually and includes evidence-based strategies, build capacity to improve academic achievement, and coordinate with other programs. So what monitoring team is looking for is evidence of an annual review with the parent and family engagement, such as notifications of meetings, list of attendees, meeting minutes, agendas, and parent comments, and evidence that the policy is distributed to parents.
Yeah, and I want to focus on the fact that we're talking about the LEA, Parent Family Engagement Plan, not the schools. We're talking about the LEA one. So this is your district level plan. Now, can my plan look very similar to what it was last year? Sure, no problem. But you still have to meet and get the feedback every year. And fun fact, you are actually required to turn that plan into the State Department every year. So on your Title I plans for the upcoming school year, you're going to see a section where you're going to have to upload that LEA, Parent and Family Engagement Plan. Not only that, you are required to also submit to the State Department any negative comments that you receive, any feedback where they're contesting what you have in the plan. All of that has to come to us as well. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow in that session. Fun fact.
Again, quality of documentation. So make sure you're documenting it. If you don't have it documented, it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. And the comp team is very flexible. I mean, somebody even had it on a napkin one time, is my understanding. So that team bends over backwards to make it happen. But if you don't document it, it didn't happen. Place your plan on your school and district website for comment. Again, you can turn those features on and off your websites. I've seen them. I've been on your websites. I've been checking things, which that's a whole nother story, but I've been checking things. Survey results. Make sure you have those surveys results, available for us. That's something that we kind of see missing throughout the monitoring pieces where we're not giving out those survey results. Making sure that plan is in a home language that, again, parents will understand. Again, with email blasts, social media, website, text messaging. Again, how can you avoid putting this in your kids' hands? The same thing. One thing I did as a principal is I did a weekly email blast, not only as a middle school principal, but also as an alternative school principal. We were required to do it weekly by the superintendent, but then it became habit, and parents expected it on Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. But using Bright Arrow, that feature I talked about just a minute ago, I could write that thing Friday afternoon and set it to go out on Sunday at 4 o'clock. They were expecting it every single Sunday. So it was just a way of getting that communication out there and making sure that folks knew what was going on.
Okay, and just to tag on that, when we talk about home language, but also like you guys send it home in a mode that they can receive. So not everybody's an email person. Not everybody has a phone that receives text messages, which I know is crazy in today's society, but that's just the way it is. So sometimes you have to send it home with family. So that's an awesome back to school night question for your parents. How would you like to receive information from us? I'm sure you guys are already doing that.
All right, so ESSA says the LEA ensures that each participating school provides to individual families and parents information on the level of achievement of the parent's child in each of the state's academic assessments as required. So we're looking for a date cover letter sent with the report, or a parent brochure report. So sometimes that annual report to the people. The pushing back compliance. Why is it just besides the report for the people, is it in a language that people understand? I have done many reports to the people. Not once did I ever think about translating it.
Yeah, and that's another must.
Student-led conferences. Even in an alternative school for kids, in order to go back to their home schools, they had to have a student-led conference. Even your baddest of the bad had student-led conference, tells how they were doing in classes, how they were doing behaviorally, how they improved over the course of time. The kids can do it if you train them. Even the baddest of the bad can do it. Parent-friendly academic links on your school websites. Parent-friendly standards. Have we toned it down? We are famous for acronyms. We are an acronym industry for some reason. We have to break it down for parents.
Sure, and not only that, the last district I was in was Bridgeland City, and they did an awesome job of creating parent-friendly standards, especially for our early childhood, because we were standards-based assessment. And so every report card period, I would send home these parent-friendly standards that literally listed the standard in a parent-friendly way and had an example, especially with math, had an example laid out for them so when they saw that their child was unsatisfactory, they were understanding, okay, this is what they are looking for when it comes to this standard. And I think it's important to have those conversations. We can't assume anything when it comes to parents, but that was the other thing. Like, we gotta watch the language that we use. Not saying that they don't. we're not demeaning them, but just a little bit extra time to explain the concepts that maybe we're having issues with within these parent family or parent and teacher conferences goes a long way. And then just some strategies for them to be able to do at home. I will tell you that when I taught, and I taught first grade, so it was a different situation, but I never sent home paper homework because that new math it was a lot for parents. And I kind of approached things a little bit differently in my classroom. As a matter of fact, you're not gonna believe this, but Shalini Sharma observed is actually what I did in my classroom. Because it started off as investigations and then she tagged in on it. And that's what I did to teach math in first grade. And but I sent home games with my parents to build fluency because that was such a core value in first grade math. So instead of they could figure out how to play war or whatever, kids would train them. We would have family nights or parent academies where they came in and we trained them on the games and the kids played with them. So I did that to get past the paper homework that was like even more confusing. Like I don't know how to do that in math. I don't know how to. I try to take that equation out of the puzzle for them. And a lot of our parents, not a lot. I'll just say some parents come to the table with a really negative experience in school for themselves. And so, yeah, I mean, like.
A barrier gets thrown up.
Yeah, I mean, so they may not even, like, when they see something that is like, I don't even know. I mean, I had to Google stuff myself with my child. I mean, I taught first grade. So, like, when she got to, like, middle school, I was like, I have no idea. But, I mean, I even called friends, husbands, and was like, can you do a FaceTime with us? But not everybody has that opportunity. So, I mean, any way that you can try to meet parents where they're at. I've already said that, but academically too.
Yeah. And on these parent nights and parent academies, what skill set do your parents not have? When Power School, and this tells you how long it's been, but when Power School first came around, parents didn't know there was a parent portal feature. I had to teach my parents what that was. I had to teach them that blue little number there, if you click it, gives you all the assignments that they did or didn't do. But I had to teach that they didn't know. So what can you do to help them speak to their kids at home? Like I said, there is a reason why I send it out at noon. That way the kids got about 3 hours to think of the excuse, because I know for a fact the parents are going to look at that report card and ask questions when Junior walks in the door.
It's the same idea as like making assumptions in the classroom. And we make assumptions that our kids know what we're talking about when we're teaching. Like, sure, you understand the Grand Canyon. And they like have no idea what you're talking about because they've never seen the Grand Canyon, they've never been to the Grand Canyon, like all of these things. And it's the same situation here. We can't just assume that parents have all the tools at home that they may need or the skill set to help their child with certain things. That's why it's so important for us to build those relationships and have parent academies and things like that where we're literally showing them how to connect school and home.
All right, so an annual meeting is convened to which parents of students in a school-wide program and participating students in a targeted assistance program are invited to inform parents of their school's participation in Title I and to explain Title I requirements and the rights of the parents to be involved. So we're looking for that list of attendees, minutes of the meetings, agendas, and parent comments. That's just the bare basics where you had that annual meeting. But pushing past compliance, again, quality of the documentation, combining it with other events. Let me talk about performances. Every time we had a performance, I had a Title I family meeting. I had a meeting because at an arts academy, I had my dance group, I had the chorus group, I had the band group, and then we had the art gallery walkthrough outside. And let me tell you, every time we had a pause and we had to change sets on the stage, guess who was out front doing this little number, little dance with my leg going? You're talking about Title I, and we did this and we did that. And this is where we are with our spending. These are where we are with the goals. And get out the way, and the dance crew would do their number, and then band would come up and do another song and dance. I combined it all together because the parents I needed to hit were at the performances.
I think it's important for you to remember that. Like you're so great at getting their input at the beginning, right? We're so great at tying everything to our needs at the beginning. But then it gets down to the time where we got to meet that 15%. Or we get down to the time where the grant's about to close out. And all of a sudden you're like, I've got $500,000 that this school didn't spend, and I got to pull it back and all this. And then like things just get bought. And all of a sudden we're not, or my superintendent really would love it if I would, they want this done. And like we go back and we look at the meeting and I'm like, where is this? So same conversation with parents. We ask for their input at the beginning. Give them a follow-up. Tell them what you spend the money on to meet those goals, because you told them about the goals. Y'all came up with them together. So give them some updates, and if you've got to make amendments, get their input on it as well. Like, we've noticed this is a need for our school. So
something I did in my Title I meeting when I combined it all. We started our planning process back in January. So right now, about March, we would be putting numbers in columns and trying to get everything to balance. As I got towards our last meeting in April, 1st of May, we were putting things in a parking lot. And I had a sticky posted on the wall, and things we couldn't pay for that didn't fit the money, the needs, whatever we decided in our needs assessment. But we had a bright idea for, we stuck it in the parking lot. And then when we got to that last meeting, started assigning money values to that parking lot. So when Leslie comes back around and has got to reallocate some money, which I didn't know they did because I was a new principal and new to Title I called it the October surprise. Somebody walks in and goes, "You got $30,000 in 30 days to pay for it." I was like, crap. I got smarter the next year, because then I pulled the paper right off the board here, went right to my trusty computer, plugged it all in, then I emailed my parents, because I saved myself from not having to pull them out of their shift work that they were doing and hold a meeting, because we already agreed to what needed to be done with any money that was coming back as a reallocation. So they appreciated the efficiency of it, that they didn't have to come back in for a meeting because we already had a parking lot of what we were supposed to do. But anyway,
being timely, like don't waste.
All right, so ESSA says you have to have assistance materials and trainings have been provided specifically to Title I families to build capacity for their engagement. So again, we're looking for copies of materials, training agendas, sign-in sheets. You hear that over and over again, sign-in sheets. Yes, we have to have them. Evidence that schools provide assistance to family and parents in understanding content, achievement standards, assessments, and how to monitor their child's progress. And evidence that parents and families are provided materials and training to help their children succeed in school, such as literacy training and using technology. All right, so once again, document. If you don't have documentation, it didn't happen. At-home resources, I know that was you.
Sure, yeah. I mean, one of the things I do for teachers, I send home tools with parents, a toolkit. But I've already spoke to this. Anytime that you're sending something home, like there needs to be some kind of communication about what it is. What's the expectation for that? I know that, and I'm going to keep pulling, talk about lesson one, because they're awesome with parent engagement. But one of the things that they do is they film videos for different supplies that they're sending home, so that the parents know what's supposed to happen with those things. And it's like a refresher course for the kids too. And then also parent resource centers. We have several districts in the state that do an amazing job at having parent resource centers, either in their Title I schools or housed somewhere in the district, where parents come for different things. Whatever the need of your district is what that parent resource center needs to be for your district. I know for a fact Dorchester 2 has one that's geared towards their early learners, and actually Teresa Kelly's going to present tomorrow about her resource centers. I know that Lexington ones span across all the levels. They have different things. So whatever the needs are for your district is what needs to be in those parent resource centers.
And family nights, parent events tied to academics. So we did one where we had the families come in and did kind of a old science of Olympiad type of thing, where they had different events, kind of like a minute to win it. But the families had to work as a unit to do whatever task it was, and gave away something at the end. I don't know, t-shirts or whatever else for the family team that performed the best. But they were working together as a family on academics. And those things like the marshmallows and the spaghetti, trying to make the tallest tower. It was all sorts of those science and STEAM things that could bring the families together as a unit. And y'all paid for it, so say it worked.
Yeah, and there's no website. What technical resources out there that you guys use in your classroom? Like things that they can actually use. Like, don't just put up some random stuff. That's the thing about parent resource centers. I know in Dorchester too, they do field trips. And the schools come out to the parent resource centers as a field trip and get involved there. So then that communication kind of trickles.
Right. ESSA says LEAs are required to provide and strengthen and increase parent and family and community engagement programs that serve MLs using Title III funds. Again, evidence of outreach invitations, signed attendance sheets, meeting agendas and minutes, and evidence of the implementation before and after school programs. This is kind of an area that gets districts into trouble. So to push past compliance, notification in a home language. Provide translators. Yes, this can be paid for out of Title I. You want to speak to that?
Sure.
I know, surprising.
What? So yes, if you're having a family event, then yeah, you can use Title I to pay for translators. What I can't use Title I to pay for is translators at like an IEP meeting, but those are required. So that's a supplement, not supplement.
Out of the box family events, of course, she's already touched on that about the multicultural nights and so forth. And then relationships.
Oh my gosh, like ML communities are like thick as thieves. Y'all. Like you get one in,
Whole community comes in.
you can pull them in. And so there's a two. I know we're running out of time. The first thing is Aiken County does a great job at doing multi-language registration events. They host them for specifically. They have translators on property for that. The other thing is there's a video that we showed one time at one of our roundtables that they invited in their Hispanic population to come in and help build these kits for the kids. And it just kind of grew into a whole thing. There's no expectation for them to come in and speak English or, where the things were, the barriers. But because they were able to like come in and be a part of it, was huge. And really builds a relationship with those families.
A question from a friend in the back.
For clarification, so your second bullet says that you can provide a translator out of Title I.
You can pay for translators at Title I events.
So parent-family engagement night?
Again, you cannot pay for translators for required things. So like IEP meetings, things like that. But I can pay for translators to be at Title I events.
Registration also says multiple registration.
Let me get back to you on that one. Yeah, that would be. Let me check into the requirement there.
All right, questions. So we did finish on time.
I'm totally here to help you guys. So, and I say this in all of my sessions. If your district is doing something awesome in parent-family engagement, like send me an email. I got one email this year. It was like doing snow. But I want to come see what you guys are doing because I can't highlight you if I don't see it or we don't have conversations. So the reason why I know what's going on in certain districts is because I can't see it.
So feel free to reach out to us. Again, I'm C.R. Hall. I'm on the Innovations and Support team, and Leslie's on the finance team. So need something, want to talk, want to figure out how to pay for it? Need a bright idea? Give us a call.
Thank you.
Thank you.